to say that today has been a bad day would be probably an understatement. Uh, I I took the day off to get prepared for my trip to Lexington for Breeders' Cup. I had a couple things to do. You can see is blurred out. There is an IKEA piece of IKEA furniture behind me that I was supposed to assemble today. And I had dropped my car off to basically just take a look at a squeak in the car. Uh, and it turns out to be a near catastrophic repair. On top of it, they don't have the part to repair my car. I'm 6 to 8 months out from being able to even repair the car. And they're like, maybe you shouldn't drive it. So I basically was just pulling all the stops out, calling people. Luckily, my sister's gonna let me borrow my old car that I gave to her for my nephew. I'll have something to drive down to Lexington. But yeah, now I got to finish putting this IKEA furniture after this behind me. Mark, how much Swedish furniture do you own?
I do own a couple pieces. Actually, there's a couple to my left here. A couple bookshelves. Yeah, they're for utilitarian, nice storage. You just need a place to put crap. Your avant-garde Swedish. Actually, I do have two chairs behind me too that are also Swedish. So I own a few pieces of Swedish furniture.
Caleb, you got a Marcus chair there? Is that what you're sitting on? What do you got back there? Is that IKEA behind you? Yeah, IKEA. It's like IKEA's like flagship chair. I don't know. People
this is an
always
Amazon
recommend
chair.
it. So,
No, nothing quite that bougie. Although I'm going to get an upgraded chair here in the near future for as much time as I spend in it. But just an Amazon chair if I was a mid-range one.
Yeah, what's really funny is so in all this just like absolutely ridiculousness that I was dealing with today, trying to get all this stuff ready to go for tomorrow. I started looking at flights and I'm like, hey, flights aren't that expensive. Apparently I was looking at the wrong dates. So I was all ready, set to fly, Caleb, when I got home and booked these flights. And then I realized that they were like $900. And I was like, they were less than half this when I looked before. Wrong dates.
That'll do it.
That'll definitely do it. But hello, welcome. Happy Thursday or Wednesday. We are on the wrong lead here. I'm Josh. We got Mark and Caleb here with me. We've done a little bit of Breeders' Cup content, or I have. Well, Caleb, you have too with Chase. You had the podcast last week. We did our kind of Breeders' Cup stuff last week, where we kind of just looked ahead at some of the European horses. Drank Champagne episode 4 came out, doing a little bit of best bet. Strong opinion. I saw him marking something down in his notebook, so he must be playing Delta Downs.
No. Even better. Somebody told me that I can buy Powerball tickets on my phone, but needless to say, I've been trying to buy them for 2 hours and have not been able to buy them because their servers are so overloaded. So I keep checking to see if it's ready for me to actually cash them out, and that just hasn't happened.
Matthew's already actually called us out, Caleb. He said, too bad. What are you talking about? He said sitting with the fancy people with Caleb. You're in there as well. Very un-Swedish of them. For sure on
Caleb
Friday.
Got fancy seats now? Both of you are fancy?
I bought the fancy seats because Caleb was
I'm
had the
able
fancy
to
area.
trip now because I don't do fancy. It's not my thing.
Dude, so another thing I was supposed to do today is buy a freaking blazer. Right, it was another thing. So I went to Kohl's. Right, just a side note: go to Kohl's, and like there were like 3 blazers. I had an option of 3 blazers that were in my size, and I was just like, all right. And then finally, like I saw one I kind of liked, and I was like, it was a size too small. It was the same size as the one I showed you earlier, Caleb, that random corduroy one I have.
Mm-hmm.
But this one fit. Same size, but this one fit. So I'm like, whatever, screw it. I'm gonna go with this one. I probably took me like an extra hour and a half out of my day because we went to Kohl's. And of course, my wife found the Christmas section. And on top of my wife
also
having
found the stainless tumbler section?
No, so tumblers are her number 1 affliction. Number 2 is Coke, like Coke products, Coca-Cola.
Thanks for
not Coke.
Thank you.
Coca-Cola. Let me correct that.
Man,
she
teach
collects
her own,
Coca-Cola memorabilia. And number 3 is Christmas, specifically the Grinch. Just we got Christmas decorations out year round, but she went nuts in the Christmas section. But at least I got a blazer, so I'll hopefully look the part and not be outshined by Caleb too hard. Although I did tell somebody earlier today, Caleb, that you are actually better looking in person. So you got something you got some stuff to live up to.
Oh man, I gotta.
Well, he's got the fresh haircut now, so he's looking handsome. So
yeah, not quite as homeless as before.
There you go. Well, you still kind of you could probably
a little scruff, gotta shave.
But yeah, there's tons of Breeders' Cup content out there. If you guys haven't listened to the podcast Andrew and I did, we had a lot of fun doing that. We'll take a look at these 5 races tonight for Friday, and then tomorrow, assuming I get to Lexington on time, we'll be doing Saturday's card as well. We have a contingency plan in case I am late. Mark has got that. What?
I was saying we're doing 5 tonight and then 9 tomorrow night. Who planned this crap out? What were we thinking?
That's fine. It's fine. Caleb and I will be in the same room. If I don't cap and I'm not capped, but tomorrow I'll just go talk over Mr. Terry Knight, get his picks, and then I'll be like, hey, like this is basically the same thing. But I do think
assuming Dad's gonna have handicap. That's your mistake.
Oh goodness. You know what? I mean, frankly, like the one thing about your dad is like, I don't know about stakes races. Like I know, like his bread and butter is like Indiana Grand and all these. I don't know about these classy horses. We'll see, but yeah, this is a fun card. I really like these races. I've looked at them a couple times, and I don't know. I think I'm going to be pretty narrow through this late sequence if I play it. Although I did already say that I was going to play every single pick 5. And Andrew's like, yes, and you should. And you also have the bankroll for it for right now. So
that is all true.
And I luckily have not given it all back yet. I mean, hey, like I'm winning. Like, well, I guess I technically am going to give it back when I get this new car. But
I was going to say car dealership tomorrow. That might change.
That's true. It's gonna be dangerous, dude. I might just be like, hey, what's the quickest car you can get me right now, like so I can get out the door. But yeah, let's not talk about cars. Let's not talk about nonsense that I had to deal with. Everyone else is stressed. Let's talk about horses. Let's get into some of the nitty gritty here. Race 6 on Friday, 5.5 furlong turf sprint, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. This is like Wesley Ward's bread and butter. You guys, I mean, if you guys watch the podcast or listen to the podcast, I'm singling Wes Ward's 2 here. Little green spot, nice. I'm singling the 2 Love Reigns.
Mike was
here.
asking, so I just deliver what the man wants.
Yeah, I'm gonna single Love Reigns here. This is Wesley's game. The horse looks good. I mean, the horse went over to Ascot, didn't really care for it much over there. Is coming back here, is going to have firm ground to run on. Is going to have a turn, which is something that most of these European horses shipping in have not experienced before. So I always like the Americans in this race. I'm not getting too super creative here. I'm just going to single the 2 Love Reigns. That's my best bet of the day. Caleb, as the good-looking one of the group and the European expert, tell me why I'm wrong. Why does Love Reigns lose here?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit against Love Reigns, but I wouldn't go as far as to say she can't win this race. This is, like you said, Wesley Ward's bread and butter. This is kind of what he does, and it's in his backyard. So, yeah, I mean, I do sort of think that she's a legitimate contender in here. My questions about Love Reigns are, I guess, there's a couple, right? I mean, the first one is that I don't like the fact that she was entered in that race on October 9th and then scratched out. I mean, I don't really know what the connections were thinking there. You know, giving her a prep and then saying, actually, no, we don't want it. We're just going to go straight to the Breeders' Cup. I don't know what the logic was there, but that doesn't quite sit right with me for a horse like this coming in off this break. Additionally, she did win that last race out in the Bolton Landing, but of the 7 runbacks out of that race, 6 of them have regressed pretty significantly on figures, including a horse that actually won next out, which was Dance Macabre, whatever that horse's name is, at Kentucky Downs. So I'm a little skeptical of that big time form figure of 112 that she posted, just because it doesn't seem to really hold up from the runbacks. And I guess the other thing would be is she's not a need the lead type, but it's hard to imagine that you don't want her at least close to the front. And I don't think that she's the quickest horse in this race. I think there's probably two or three horses actually that are quicker than her. I mean, maybe even four or five, depending on what some of these horses on the far outside decide to do, like Speedboat Beach and Tyler's Tribe and a few others. So while I don't think she's like a toss, I'm not adamantly against her. If she's going to be the favorite or second choice, I'll probably look elsewhere.
So where did you end up landing then, Caleb?
Well, where I did land was I kind of had three horses written down. I'll name them all, but I won't talk about them all in detail. I think they're actually all prices, but I liked the 6, 8, and 9. So Persian Force, American Apple, and Sharp as Attack are three horses that I'm probably the highest on. With Sharp as Attack, I think this is a horse that, even though there's a ton of speed in this race, you don't usually see these turf sprints totally melt. So I do want horses that I expect to be in the first half of the field. This is a colt that won two good races by open lengths basically in his first two career starts. Ran a good race at Kentucky Downs. That 6.5 at Kentucky Downs probably plays closer to 7 furlongs, maybe even a mile when you factor in the run up and the uphill stretch run. And I think that's probably just a little bit too far for what this colt wants to do. I also thought that Irad, either intentionally or otherwise, drifted this horse way out turning for home. And for a large part of the Kentucky Downs meet, the rail was very good in the stretch. Private Creed kind of got the run of the race up the rail there. And by the time that Irad got Sharp as Attack back over, it was kind of too late. American Apple is one that I think is going to be a huge price. But, ran a figure that absolutely fits in this race last time out. It's fair to question if he backs that or if she backs that up this time. But I'm not really going to say this horse is going to bounce because they tried her on dirt twice. She's not a dirt horse. They tried her to mile. She on turf did better, but then just got tired. Kentucky Downs figs are notoriously kind of sketchy. So this is her kind of only legitimate turf figure with legitimate timing. Probably is her last race. So I definitely think she could upset this field in here. She beat Dan's Macabre, the same horse that Love Reigns beat, by pretty much the same margin. And she's going to be, 6 or 8 times the price. She did get a perfect trip that day. I'll recognize that. But she has tactical speed and a good draw, so I don't see why she couldn't get a good trip again. And I think Mark likes Persian Force as well as I do. I'll just say I think this horse is going to love a cutback to 5 furlongs. Richard Hannon is very high on this horse. Says it's his best chance at a Breeders' Cup. Was the best of the speed horses last time in a race that kind of fell apart and went to the closers. So this is one that I do like, but Mark can probably talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, I mean, Persian Force is my top choice in here. I'll jump around to a couple before I talk about Persian Force. So first thing with Love Reigns, obviously Love Reigns makes a ton of sense. You're going to take a ton of money on all the connections. Can the horse win? Of course. But the fact of that big field in the Queen Mary, the horse sort of jumped in the gate. You're going to get a big field again here at Keeneland. Maybe that was a one-off occurrence, but it does sort of scare me that you get a similar break. And she didn't really want to do a lot of running when she didn't break on top. And you're all of a sudden in this field going to have a ton of speed and a ton of other horses who can really go with her. And I just wonder how she really handles it. All the questions Caleb brought up. For a horse that's going to likely be your favorite or co-favorite, that's a lot of question marks. And I feel like this is the race where I can go a little deep and catch some prices. Going into, when I capped this, I was basically planning on singling the Platinum Queen, the 12 horse. Platinum Queen to me is the best of the remaining, still in training European sprinters. The filly has been just extremely good. Then she got drawn in the parking lot and is a horse that arguably needs to be on the front end. I don't know how in the world Holly Doyle works a trip with her being drawn so far outside. I love her. I still think she can win. She's a really, really, really talented filly. She's a horse you also know can travel. She went to Longchamp, won. Oh, God damn it. Damn you, PDT. But, as a horse who's probably going to be your, either first or second choice, I'm a little concerned with the draw, and I just, wonder if Holly can invent a trip with her. So I did as my top choice, end up landing on Persian Force. Persian Force has faced Blackbeard, who's now no longer in training, but Blackbeard was the best 2-year-old sprinter in training in the world until his retirement. And I think they were Breeders' Cup bound, and then something happened. I don't know what the injury was, but he ended up being, ended up being retired. Persian Force has basically gotten faster every single race he's run. Every right to take a step forward here. Another horse that we know can travel, has won in the UK and ran very well in that race in Deauville in the Prix Marie. And, I think at 15-1, I want to go to a value type horse like that I think has all the upside in the world, gets Frankie Dettori up. I'm not the world's biggest Frankie Dettori fan or anything, but, it is a good jockey like to see get up, and he does have some experience with this one. So yeah, I think my top choice is Persian Force in here, and so I think I'm the one that lands on the longest price. That's a first time for everything.
I think we're gonna have to use the air horn every time you say "make a ton of sense." That's definitely a markism.
Is it like Stellar?
It is like Stellar.
It is like Stellar.
So
damn it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe I'm just trying to get too cute here and just singling the West Ward horse, but I don't know. I felt like outside of that horse, if I was gonna go outside of it, it wasn't like there was only like one or two other contenders I saw in here. I felt like this turned into like a real spready race. So I'm kind of zigging where others are zagging. I hope. Although, like I said, I'll probably end up. I know Platinum Queen is the favorite, I think, technically on the morning line, but I have a feeling that the Was Water Horse will probably go off as the favorite. Too Cute is not on the bingo card, unfortunately.
But it should be.
But it should be.
It should be. It should be. I mean, before we move on, and I don't know if that's where you're going, Josh, we probably should talk about the two feel-good story horses in here. One being Tyler's Tribe, who, they obviously there's no juvenile dirt sprint, so they are going to be first-time turf here. This horse is, if you follow you follow any of the Midwestern racing, has a really cool backstory, named after a sick kid who the horse apparently loves, has won by, as many lengths as he wants to in all of his 5 starts, looks super impressive. They did work over the Keeneland turf, seemed to get over it fairly okay. Any thought that this one is a little bit interesting, Caleb?
Interesting, sure, but probably not for me. I feel like we see one or two of these horses every year that post huge numbers at small time tracks. It just feels like the vast majority of the time they don't pan out when they ship in to face the big boys. This is a really cool horse. Like, I'm super happy for the connections. It is a feel good story, but all of those things are going to make this horse a much shorter price than I think he deserves to be against this field. It's a tough draw. He has a ton of speed drawn right to his outside with Speedboat Beach and the Platinum Queen. He has speed drawn right to his inside, the Sharpest Attack and American Apple. I don't like the fact that he's here simply because connections don't think he gets a mile, so they're taking a shot with. Since there's no Breeders' Cup Dirt Juvenile Sprint, this is kind of the next option. So it just too many questions for me. I would need probably 25-1, and I'm sure I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, I don't want to call the horse a takeout reducer, but he will definitely bump odds up on other horses that I'm probably more interested in. Yeah, and so I very much thought the same as you. The other feel-good story in here is the one Lady Hollywood, with Alice Haynes getting her first Breeders' Cup start. She's a very upstart trainer in the UK. This horse traveled to Longchamp, won the Prix d'Arnberg, did so very, looked really, really good. Pasta hops aboard here. I'm a little worried that this one's not going to get quite the trip from the small connections that you'd love to see them get a Breeders' Cup win, but it might not get quite the trip set up that they have in a couple of other European races. I think they've already said this will be the last race for Lady Hollywood, if I remember right, that she's going to go to a Broodmare Prospect in Trading kind of a sale, so that they kind of brought her over and they're not taking her back, if I remember right from an article. But I do think she's interesting. I just think you have to get the right price on her, and that's probably a bit more than the morning line.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in her, to be honest. The post, I think, is going to just kill her. That inside post with a big field like this, I just expect her to get pinched back to last. And And I just don't think the field she's been beating are very good, despite the fact that she did win that Group 3. I don't think that was a very strong race. Most of those runners came back to actually run pretty poorly against Listed Stakes
Yep.
Company in their next race. So not for me, but yeah, it should be a good price.
I'm seeing a little bit of talk here in chat about the 5. I do see Nick Feldman. He's saying that he would also include the 5 Buick Appleby. No chance he's letting that combo beat him. The horse has been getting better and better and is coming out of the Blackbeard Persian Force race. And Jay also likes the 5 here. He also likes 4 other horses, but yeah, he's got the 5 included in some of the must use in this spot. And any love for this 5 here?
Mischief Magic will be on none of my tickets. I think this is a horse that probably takes money on connections alone. I haven't seen on the track yet a performance that makes me think this one can kind of step up to this level. I mean, of course, Appleby Buick will probably beat me at 8-1, and I'll feel like a moron. But it's just a horse that I'll have nowhere. There are other prices that I'm more interested in that are lesser known that I think have a better chance of winning.
Yeah, not one for me either. I mean, you have to respect anything that Appleby, Godolphin, and William Buick are sending over with the way that they've performed the last 2 or 3 years. But this is a horse. I mean, if you watch that race back in the Middle Park Stakes at Newmarket, he just kind of was flat. I mean, clearly, the margin of defeat, even compared to Persian Force, who was third, was probably should have been more pronounced. I think Persian Force benefits more from the cutback and probably handles this style of racing a little bit better from what I can tell from watching the replays. So I wouldn't blame anyone for taking a shot on a Godolphin Appleby horse at 8-1, but for me, it'd be pretty much blindly betting connections, and I'm not really keen to do that. It is one of the top 5 or 6 choices.
Yeah. Also, if you pull up that Juddmonte Middle Park Stakes, it's very easy to find on YouTube, and you watch that race. Jock on Persian Force, just sort of once Blackbeard got ahead and it was they realized that Blackbeard was pulling away, he just kind of sat up and just kind of let the race take over. So, I think there was probably more in the tank there. He didn't ask for it, and I think that's why I go to somebody like that versus somebody like Mischief Magic, who will be half the price but hasn't run, maybe even less than half the price, and hasn't run a race as competitive. So
what about Dramatize the 4?
I don't know what to do with this horse. This is one I kind of have marked down as a question mark. Kind of, she runs mid pack, but too prominently in most of her races. I think you can forgive that last effort where she probably just didn't see out the extra furlong. But at 5 furlongs, she looks good. We get 5.5 in a bend here, so we'll see kind of how she handles that. I'm not crazy about the layoff. I would have liked her to get a more recent prep race. So to me, she's kind of on that BC kind of border of maybe making 1 or 2 tickets and maybe not making any. But I don't know what to do with her, to be honest.
I'll probably let her beat me. I think.
Oh, I was wrong. Damn.
No. I'll that's all. She's nowhere on any of my tickets. I'll let her beat me. The layoffs scare the crap out of me. There's a lot of other races they must have been pointing to. Something obviously happened, and I'm assuming it happened between the Ascot and the York race. You're guessing that this horse is right. They figured it out and takes a pretty good step forward off the Queen Mary. It's much later in the year. These 2-year-olds have really developed. I want sort of the horse of the now, not the horse of 4 or 5 months ago. And Oxymoron the 7, yeah, Oxymoron is a horse that definitely has to be on all your tickets. This is a horse that got dirtied up a little bit on that last out race, but where they definitely were going too far, cuts back to what's probably the proper distance, and gets the jock, honestly ran really game in that Monmouth race. Your Skidmore winner, and has beat a couple of the others that are in here who will probably be similar or shorter prices. So no, I like Oxymoron a fair bit in here.
Won't be on any of my tickets.
Cool. And somebody's asking about the 13. You want to go there?
Yeah, David's asking about the 13.
Yeah, I think if that horse draws in, I mean, that last figure fits with this field. The problem is you're getting a horse in the parking lot. So the price just has to be right. If that horse is, honestly, anything shorter than Morning Line, I have no interest in. Louis has to invent a trip. He's done it before. Maybe they can do it again. And there's also that conversation, which I'm sure we'll have later on, both today and tomorrow, of can Woodbine shippers really take their game on the road, which has not been the case at least this year so far. So a lot of question marks for me there.
pass.
Caleb's been done with this race for about 20 minutes, so
no, but I mean, if we're talking about 50 to 1 AEs, I think we might be done.
Hey, it's better than us talking about 5-horse fields, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, I think, the entire body of the field, except for a horse that actually will be on my ticket, which is Private Creed. I'm not going to spend much time on him, but if you're a Sheets player, this is probably the horse that you want. Has made subtle progression in each start. Last race is the best race in the field from anybody. Closed well. Doesn't have to come from too far off. Asmussen's turf runners kind of do show up at the Breeders' Cup randomly enough. We've seen him have some success there. But I mean, Rosario Sticks here had some options. I think this is a horse that I'm not going to advocate you have to use, but as a horse that I do think could easily win this race and wouldn't be a surprise to me.
All right. Race 7, mile and 16th on the dirt. The Net Jets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, grade 1 here. You got a full field here. We got 14 horses signed up to go here. Your morning line favorite is the 10 Chocolate Gelato at 7-2. You get Chop Chop at 4-1. The horse that beat Chop Chop at 5-1, Wonder Wheel. And then you get 8-1 on both Raging Seed and Tell Me No Lies. And then you get double digits on everybody else. I kind of landed. I think Chop Chop is my top choice. I think with looking at this from a pace perspective, I'm seeing a lot of big E's, big numbers here. Got 6s and 7s all over the place. So my first thought is, hey, let's look at some of these late pace horses, and at least on Brisnet, I'm going to take the 2 horses with who looks to have the best late pace, and that's the 7 Chop Chop here as my top choice. I'm sure Mark is a chalk eating weasel, so he'll be on Chop Chop in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to talk about my other pick here at 12-1, Atomically, who someone told me might scratch. So I hope, like I said, I've been running around today, so hopefully I didn't miss any news there about Atomically, but. First time Todd Pletcher here had some really nice races at Gulfstream, and that last race was extremely impressive. Horse basically missed the break, was hustled up, and just did not stop, and just kept on going. You get Luis Saez aboard, and I think this is a horse that can come from off the pace, but is going to be close up. If for some reason no one wants to go to the lead because they think that there might be a meltdown or something, I think the 8 could go and can win wire to wire as well. I think it's the right price, 12-1. But I'm going to be using Chop Chop here as my top pick. Mark, where did you kind of land?
I landed on 2 horses, and I think I only need 2. And that the first one of those is Wonder Wheel, who won the local prep, and the Elsebad, however you say it. Because I
didn't hear you. Pronounce that again, please.
Elsebad.
Alcibiades?
Alcibiades, whatever you say. There we go. Alcibiades. There we go. Cool. I don't know. It's a shortened in my form. I can't remember things. Who won the local prep here? I don't think this is a desperate need the lead type. Brooke Maiden from off the pace. And, that race came back pretty huge. I don't understand. And I mean, I'm sure Caleb's smarter than I, so he can tell me why, but why Chop Chop is shorter on the morning line than Wonder Wheel, who beat Chop Chop last out in the local prep going this distance. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. So, Wonder Wheel is a horse that I definitely want in here. And the other horse I'm really interested in is the 10 Chocolate Gelato, the other Pletcher from the one that Josh talked about earlier. That maiden break score was a huge figure, and then caught a track last out that really, Steven, you can leave. So that maiden break fig was huge. I don't know that she necessarily loved the going in the Frazette, but she got it done either way. Going to be coming from a little bit more off the pace, and she was the one that I shouldn't say off the pace, but she'll be involved in the pace. But and again, if you're playing to how Keeneland played all this fall meet, you don't want somebody coming from way out of it. You want a horse that's going to be involved in the pace scenario early on, and those are the two that I liked of the ones that will be.
Yeah, so I actually agree with Josh in this race. I had the same top two picks as he does. I'm very against Wonder Wheel. She won't be on a single ticket of mine. If you watch that race, I mean, yeah, the figure came back nice on time form, and it came back nice in general. But the horses who were first, second, and third at the first call finished first, third, and fourth. Nobody made up any ground, despite the fact the pace was coded red and allegedly on the Swift side. Chop Chop is the only horse that really made up ground that was in contention at all late, and made a huge run for her first time on dirt, first time taking kickback, kind of against the flow of the race. And I think most people probably saw that, and that's why she is lower than Wonder Wheel. I kind of fully expect her to go off as I think she could vie for favoritism, if not definitely be the second choice in this field. It would not surprise me at all. But I think it's deserving. I think she improves on that effort, and I don't think we see her 11th by 8 lengths again. She's clearly shown an ability to be a little closer. So if she gets out of the gate a little bit more cleanly, I think that could be huge for her in here. Yeah, I do like Atomically off of just run style, speed figures. I mean, switching into the Pletcher barn, a lot you can do there. So yeah, I kind of agree with Josh. Those are my top two. I might have a couple of bombs on like a skinny ticket. The two I was kind of interested in was Leave No Trace, the 13, who I thought actually ran a better race than it looks last time out. Leave No Trace did beat Wonder Wheel 2 back in the Spinaway as an upset, and then came back in the Frisette. And there's more trouble in that race than what the comment would really lead you to believe. She bobbled the gate out of the gate pretty bad, missed the break, kind of rushed up, and then decided that's not where you wanted to be because she didn't like the kickback. So she was taken back and directed to the outside. And I thought she was still finishing fairly well given the trip that she had that day. So I thought that she looks pretty usable in here. Unfortunately, my opinion of her soured a little bit with the draw with this mile and 16th race. It's so brutal to be stuck wide. So I think that's going to do her no favors. Other horse I kind of looked at was the 2, You're My Girl, also out of the Frisette last time. I'm not quite as high on her, especially if she's going to be 10-1. But in the event that we see something a little unusual, I expect her to get the lead and be inside speed. She's not really bred to like the slop, so I'm a little bit willing to forgive that last effort. But with all the speed and everything else going on, I'm probably not as high on her as I initially was, as well as Leave No Trace just due to the post. But those are the two long shots I kind of liked.
Yeah, I'll agree with Caleb on the 2. She was a horse that definitely has to be on my tickets, even if they're probably more saver tickets. I think the other horse you need to talk about, I think somebody asked in chat, was the 14 Raging Sea. I hate the draw. The draw sucks. But this is a horse that makes a lot of sense. Chad Brown types are... Damn it. I did it again, didn't I? Chad Brown types are, there we go, Josh. Thanks. Chad Brown types, tend to take these steps forward. And, and again, another horse here that's going to probably be somewhat forwardly placed. And I understand when you guys are talking about Chop Chop as, it's a horse that can come from off the pace and did close into a, what was, the only horse to close on that day. My thing though is, what do you expect the track to be like on Breeders' Cup? I expect it to be super speed favoring because they always seem to break track records every year when the Breeders' Cup's at Keeneland. So I don't know if you're going to be able to pass, and hopefully you'll be able to watch a couple of the early card races and see if the track's playing fair and make adjustments from there. But, I really worry. Again, I don't know how far Chop Chop is going to be off from it. Assuming that was just a bad break last out. And they didn't want to be as far out as they were, but I don't know if that's the type of running or running style that you want, even if that horse is only 3 or 4 lengths off from the lead.
But Mark, don't you think that you're getting too cute by taking a horse that didn't want to get its picture taken in the El Chabites?
Bingo! Yahtzee!
For there being 14, like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't like look super like close to this race, but I thought this was a pretty cut and dry race for me, at least the way I kind of handicap with the 8 and the 5, or the 8 and the 7. Sorry. I don't know. It kind of was a little too scary that Caleb landed on the same exact two horses. So I don't know, but
I
Caleb is
love
using
that I'm
more.
on a. I say I love that I'm on a horse that Caleb is hard fading. Now I want a single.
Yeah, but the scary part is that Caleb's using two other horses as like B or C types. So those are the horses that are going to boom me in this
So
part,
so wait,
and
if
we're going to
that's the
boom
case,
each other.
that's what we need to find the chalk favorite that he's tossing from his pick 5 later in the sequence, and then we're good to go.
That's right.
That is true. So wait, are you fading Cave Rock? Because if you are, then I think we just all need to single him.
Oh god, please
Uh,
tell me you're fading Cave Rock.
Not really, no.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Phillies turf here. Let's keep the ball rolling here. Race 8. Um, you got a field of 14. You got two AEs in this race. Your morning line favorite looks to be the 10. Meditate here. Free look is 5-1. Delight at 6-1. Be Your Best and Zagara at 8-1. And then you kind of got double digits on the rest. Mark, I'll let you go first here. Where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, I ended up on a couple of outside drawn horses, which does kind of scare me a little bit. I thought Delight in here for Jonathan Thomas made a ton of sense. Sayers retains the win off from the Jessamine, or retains the mount off from the Jessamine win here across the surface, with a little bit of a cutback for this one. I don't. I imagine the pace is going to be a little swifter than it was in that race, but I still think that this is a horse that probably has some more upside and makes a ton of sense in here. Does that do we have to drink to that as well? I don't know. The other horse, is Meditate for Ryan Moore. This is probably of the Europeans that are coming over the best of that bunch. Makes a ton of sense. Ben, been running really well, and a couple of the horses that the winners of the last two did not ship over. So, horse that fits in this group. And the other horse who's probably going to be my top pick, even though, my God, I hate the draw, and it's I'm going to
Don't do
probably
it.
make Josh make a weird face at me when he sees
Don't
who the
do it.
jock is. But the 13 Zagara.
Thank God.
Were you? Oh, you were on the 12. Okay, cool. The 13 Zagara. This is a horse who, looked really good at Saratoga over the turf going long, during the Saratoga meet. And they tried the dirt last out and ran fine, but I think this one probably wants to be going across the green stuff. Gets Julian back up, who was the on for that maiden breaking score, and I thought that maiden breaker, if you watch that race, was extremely impressive. Again, I don't know who she was beating that day or how talented they really are, but I think getting back on the right surface, this one probably gets a little lost on the board just given connections. And I thought, really, really like Zagara in the spot. I almost said it again. Christ.
Yeah,
Give me a complex.
Brandon saying that the amount of times he had to hear about how bad Leparoux's 2019 Toga meet was this year. So I'm guessing that was from you.
Yeah, and you highlight his next comment.
He likes Zagara. I believe Caleb, Caleb, maybe I'm misremembering, but wasn't this a horse? And I think when we were talking about our fantasy league, that you're like, yeah, this is a turf horse. Like, this is definitely like, this is the horse to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I was extremely impressed with her maiden score. I
Yep.
remember we didn't see it live. I think that was the week after we left, but
Yep.
an incredibly just dominant race there. So yeah, she's one that's on my radar for a while. I didn't like the spot for her in the Alcibiades, but I thought that she made sense in getting back to the turf. So yeah, I do like Zygira. I don't think this is the post that is going to lend her style to be successful. I think that's going to be awful hard for her. And I don't trust Leparoux to get it done from there. But a different post, a different jockey, and I'd be aggressively, trying to use this horse. Now, that being said, I will be aggressively using Meditate in this race, probably as a lone A type horse. I just, I kind of struggle with this race because you have a lot of horses that are exiting common races, and none of them really looked good to me. Like I watched the Miss Grillo back. It was a small field. Nobody really made up any ground. And I have a hard time taking any of the horses out of that race. I guess if you had to take one, I might want Be Your Best, who kind of blew the break a little bit and sort of closed a little bit. But I mean, none of them really do much for me. And I can make the same argument for the Woodbine horses coming out of Natalma, where, yeah, there was a couple of troubled trips that day. Cairo Consort didn't get the cleanest run. G. Lurie didn't either. But I don't think any of them are that good. So I ended up on Meditate because I think that the form that she has is probably the best of anyone in this field. Both of the fillies that she ran into last time, Lazoo and Tahira, are both extremely, extremely talented, especially Tahira. So I'm not too concerned about the fact that she lost because she lost to two very talented fillies. This feels like a legitimate Aidan O'Brien horse in here, not one of the ones that's kind of just along for the ride. So the only thing I'd say here is that it sort of seems like when she hits the front, she has a tendency maybe to wait on horses a little bit. So I don't have it marked in the form. I hope maybe it's an update, but I would like to see her get some blinkers on or maybe even like cheek pieces, as I know they like to do over in the UK. But I'd like to get something just to see her a little more focused because it does seem like she has a tendency of kind of hitting the front and then just kind of looking around. So she is the horse, though, that I think is easily the horse to beat in this field.
So, question for you with Meditate. First thing, do you think this is going a little bit too far for her? She's stretching out from going straight 6 furlong and 7 furlong races to a 2-turn mile. And again, my other thing what I had with her was a little bit of this. Does she wait on horses? Does she have a case of the hang? Whatever you want to call it. Those last two look like she was kind of in the fight and then just kind of, I don't know, maybe waiting for company is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, most of these European horses are not going to have run a mile prior to coming to America. So I think you can always ask that question. Looking at her pedigree and looking at the way that she's finished off those 7 furlong races, I'm not really worried about the distance. None Never obviously ran stateside here and was successful going around 2 turns. So I'm not too worried. As far as I don't think she hangs again. I do think she maybe looks around for horses and waits on company a little bit. But I don't think she has the hangs. I mean, she won 4 races in a row and just quite frankly lost to 2 better fillies in her last 2 starts. So I'm not going to really hold those against her.
So you're not afraid that she doesn't like getting her picture taken?
No.
Mark, sorry.
I was just going to say, is there anything they said for the fact that Aidan O'Brien has been like 1 for 40 or something this year with starts in the United States?
I mean, he was like 0 for 70, and then he fell at the trifecta in the Breeders' Cup Mile like 3 years ago when it was at Keeneland, I think, with Order of Australia. So, no, I don't really pay attention to those kind of stats too much, especially this year where Aidan O'Brien left a stable behind, or Joseph O'Brien did anyway, which are, clearly not their best. So, no, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, Mark, I just don't think you want to get too cute here. I can't even keep a straight face.
Okay. One other horse in here, and I know we always beat up on the West Coast turf division, but whatever.
You can't stay away from Rispoli, can you?
Even when I can't, man. I just can't. Horses won 3 in a row. After shipping over from where was it running in Ireland, and rattled off 3 in a row, looked fairly good doing it. I mean, I realize the figures come back a little bit on the light side, but isn't this a horse that at least likes to win? It has to be a player in here at a bit of a price.
That's definitely a bingo square for sure. Mark picking Rispoli.
Dude, it's a good thing we didn't come up with a bingo thing because
we'd all be wasted.
We'd all be absolutely smashed.
I mean, the form lines are good, but a maiden, the listed stakes, a California Grade 3, beating the same horse twice in a row. I mean, was absolutely dusted by Meditate when they matched up over in Ireland. I don't think she's good enough.
Cool.
Josh, I don't think you actually talked about your pick yet.
No, I haven't, but I am going to look at. I don't think this horse is going to be on any of my tickets, the one Comanche Country, but I will tell you, this is a horse that I looked at for a very, very long time, trying to make a case for it, because I do think that you're going to want a horse kind of coming from off the pace in this race. And Comanche Country looked to be like the dead closer in here. But, I mean, those West Coast turf horses just always disappoint. And it's just going to be, it's hard for me to, to hatch my wagon to a horse like that. So I looked at it, Mark. I tried to get there. I really wanted to get there, but I honestly kind of have a lone A in this spot, and that's going to be the 12 Midnight Mile. I mean, coming is 2 for 2 so far, and really, the biggest thing I can say is if you have a chance, watch the replay of that last race. You know, it looks like they mark in at least the Brisnet PPs they say a little bit, oh, like, it didn't get a clear run and then finally found the opening and burst through. The trouble was, I think, in my opinion, was worse than definitely what the comment line said. I don't know how time form. I don't know if you have time form up, Caleb.
I do.
What did time form say for that last? Do they have, because I know they like to have more descriptive comments for.
After 12 weeks off and over 1 furlong of a longer trip, was much improved from debut, up in grade, looking a useful prospect, particularly for when she goes up in trip. Held up, shaken up over 2 furlongs out. Not clear run soon after. Good headway entering final furlong. Stayed on to lead close to home. Will go on improving.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of got bottled up inside a little bit. It looked to really check, I thought, pretty hard, and then kind of had to maneuver out into like the 2 or 3 path to finally find us a seam and go through. I thought it was a real impressive ride, and I think if the horse can get clear and not get into that trouble, I think is going to definitely show that burst that I think is going to be needed to win this race here. You get Wayne Lorden aboard, who is an excellent turf rider from overseas. The first time riding the horse, but Wayne's just got to keep this horse out of trouble, and I think the 12 is going to be a nice little price here. It's 10-1 in the morning line. I haven't looked overseas yet, so maybe it's going to get bet down a little bit. But it was kind of my top pick in this race. The other horse I kind of had marked down was this 5 Pleasant Passage. And this horse is coming in working really, really strong. Won the Miss Grillo. I know it was on yielding turf. It was an absolute bog. I believe our friend Andrew, when we did our podcast, he said BAKQ, more like BOG. And I don't know. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I don't know what this horse is if this horse is gonna improve. I don't know if it was the bog that really helped him out, but 12-1 on the Shug horse. Won first out. Shug horses don't normally win first out. Gets a rat aboard. I see a lot of positives for this horse here. 12-1. I don't think you're gonna get 12-1. This horse will probably get bet down just because of the connections. And I've only looked at Brisnet. I haven't done my time form homework yet, but I'm going to guess that time form number probably came back pretty good from that aqueduct race. So
the duct race fits. And the other thing to say about Pleasant Passage is this is a horse that broke her maiden coming from a bit off the pace on a pretty speed favoring Saratoga surface, and then wired the field the duct. So she's obviously pretty versatile and improving. And Shug doesn't tend. He's a little bit like a Bill Mott, right? These tend to kind of round into form a little more slowly. I see no reason Pleasant Passage can't take a step forward here and be a major player. And yeah.
Look at David loves the pick. That's all I need to hear.
But he didn't love Pleasant Passage. He loved your other pick.
I honestly, yeah, the 12 is my top pick in here for sure. I think I'm not really sure, and I know we talked a little bit about maybe talking about wagering strategy here, but this will probably be like a spot where I'll probably use the 5 and the 12 equally, like in a pick 5 or something like that. But I'll probably, with the fact that I'm kind of narrow in these spots, I'll probably slam a pick 3 with these horses because I like prices. I always feel like with a pick 3, you can get some value if you get, you get 2 prices in that pick 3. And you can slam it for, $10, $20 and not spend a ton if you have 2 singles in there. So, I think that the 12 is definitely my strongest opinion, but I'm going to use the 5 a lot in this spot. Anything else that we want to talk about in this race? There's a ton of horses in here, and we literally only talked about like 5 of them.
I do kind of like your 10, Josh. I think she's going to love the stretch. I'm sorry, the 12. She's 10-1. I keep saying 10. Yeah, I think she's going to love the stretch out. That's kind of the one thing I like. The trip, I thought there was a little bit of trouble there. The form hasn't come back very strong from either of her races, which concerns me a little bit, and I don't like the post. So I'm afraid people are going to see an undefeated Euro with a good European jockey and be like, "Oh, I'm going to bet this horse," and like kind of kill the value. But I do think the horse has a big shot in here, and hopefully you get a price. Another one that I actually do kind of find interesting in here, despite the fact that it is not with my favorite turf jockey, is the number 7 Spirit Gal, who is ridden by Ricardo Santana Jr. This is a horse that has been just. I like the way she comes into this race. I mean, she's improved in every start. You subtly taken steps forward from from her debut all the way up till winning that race last time out over the synthetic track. She did kind of race with the flow of that race last time. She has a tendency to race forwardly, so she will be probably somewhat forward. I doubt she gets the lead, but I think she'll be kind of toward the front. But she did beat Cairo, who would be a horse that went on to win a Grade 3 and was debating coming over for the Breeders' Cup for Aidan O'Brien. Ended up not shipping, but that horse would have been pretty fancied over here had they shown up. So, yeah, I just think this is a horse that maybe is putting it all together, kind of figuring things out, and might be heading the right direction. I do wish the kind of jockey connection situation shook out a little differently, but perhaps Ricardo is the reason you get 25-1 and Frankie would have been 15-1. So that's one that is probably more like a saver ticket kind of C player for me, but one that I do think has a shot in here.
All right, Caleb, question for you.
Hold
on. Sorry, Mark, real quick. Caleb, question for you. All right.
Yeah.
Euro horse gets shipped over, right? You love the horse. Would you rather have, and it's on a turf, would you rather have Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard or Mike Smith?
I knew you were going to say Mike Smith. Mike Smith has had a revitalization of his turf career this year on the West Coast. And Ricardo seems that he has, after randomly being good on turf for a year or a year and a half with the Mike Maker, it sort of seems like he reverted to the Ricardo that we know and love. So I would probably have to go with Mike Smith, believe it or not.
Oh, goodness. Sorry, Mark. What were you going to say?
If that horse was live, doesn't JV Hefferman come across to ride that one? I mean, he's done it before. He's ridden the States. Why is he not here? I realize Ricardo Santana has apparently won races on green stuff, but that's not really what he's known for. Why on earth did they not have some other jock on this horse? It makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of European jocks that haven't shipped over for their mounts that they've typically retained. So I'm not quite as hung up on that. I don't like the fact that Ricardo's up. That part is genuinely sort of a negative to me on the horse. If they would have went to a guy like Johnny Velasquez or one of the guys that at least sometimes gets those pickup mounts, maybe a
Lascano or like Pratt. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, but to go to Ricardo, I don't know. My only thinking is that it is a Charles Phipp course. It's a homebred, and that's obviously a local-based Kentucky connection. So I don't know if maybe there's something there, which is why he's comfortable going to Ricardo. But yeah, I mean, not the guy I would prefer if I had my choice.
I mean, Mark. All Mark needed to do was say Manny Franco to just give me the trifecta of jockeys I hate to bet. You went Lascano, you went Pratt, and I just needed Manny Franco in there.
Eric Caleb said Pratt. I just doubled down on it.
Jay saying Mike Smith will give a confident butt in the air. I got the best horse, 4 wide ride, and finish 8th.
That's probably true.
Nick does like the Pleasant Passage Maiden Breaker. Passed a lot of horses down inside the rail. No way is he letting a 12-1 IRAD beat him. That's kind of how I feel. I mean, maybe it's just a big connections play. But I thought that last race, like I said, on Figs looked pretty good on Brisnet. So I just assumed it looked like a race that I thought Timeform would really like and would kind of fit in there. So
the race fits. My concern is the price. I have a horrible fear that horse is going to go off at 4-1 or something stupid.
Well, since you guys both like the horse, I guess I wasn't going to take a strong stand against because the horse is 12-1. I try not to beat up bombs too much, but this horse I think is a complete toss. It took advantage of a golden rail on the first day the rails were down on the Saratoga Inner on the day when being on the inside was extremely advantageous, and then got loose over a swampy turf course where nobody closed. I mean, I think this horse got super lucky twice in a row and is not nearly as talented as the form might indicate. So yeah, that horse won't be on a ticket of mine.
So Josh, there's the horse that booms Caleb out of the pick 5.
That is it. That's what it's.
I mean, it's a little pricey for his normal boom himself
It
out,
is.
but
It is. It's
we
double
at least
digits.
know where it happens. Yeah.
Let's move on here. Race 9, BC Juvenile. We're gonna be going a mile in a 16th on the dirt here, and obviously your 4 to 5 favorite is going to be Cave Rock here for Bob Baffert and Juan Hernandez. 3 for 3. Has done it sprinting, has done it stretching out, and has done it impressively each time. Brisnet has this horse just absolutely towering over the rest of the horses in this field. I mean, is anyone going to try and beat this horse in the spot?
Not aggressively.
Is anyone going to try to beat this horse with any other horse besides the other Baffert?
Well, yeah, I'm not using that Baffert at all.
Really?
I'm not using the fake Baffert. No,
Okay.
no fake Baffert.
Okay.
The other Baffert just sort of never feels like they don't ever show up on this stage. Like in the maiden races, yeah, the other Baffert gets you all the time. At Saratoga, or not Saratoga, at Santa Anita, whatever, yeah, like it happens. But when Baffert has one that's like like Cave Rock or like Corniche, like or you know what he does. I mean, this horse is here to to run and maybe pick up a check and to play bumper cars and blockers and to make sure that the Baffert's supposed to win wins. So I don't think, especially with that draw, a horse that hasn't really shown the ability to pass other horses, I don't see that horse having a chance, in my opinion. And the horse will take money because the figures are good. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm debating going against Cave Rock on like a small ticket, just because I'm not very interested in the second or third choice. Well, second or fourth choice, I guess.
Yeah. So my thing with Cave Rock is, normally Baffert's ship, but this horse gives you kind of the, stands out in paper, he's going to be an ice cold single on everybody's ticket, but gives me all the Dennis's Moments vibes. A horse that comes in that it's really hard to make a case against and either doesn't handle the surface, doesn't handle the going, breaks funny, and, doesn't have it all his own way. And, because he's wired every race he's been in so far, big field, there's definitely more depth here than any other race he's ever been in. And things happen, and those are the times where you really get paid. He's going to be a lone A on my ticket with that. All that being said, right? Like it's really hard to, especially with it being a Baffert, especially with all the intrinsics, the horse having about a 10-point time form advantage over everybody else in the field. The one horse though that is probably more of a tournament play for me and is a horse that I think probably has some upside and is probably your most likely kind of upset horse in here is the 6 Blazing Sevens for Chad Brown. Chad is really notorious for, if you ask him a question, he gives you a very straight answer. And if you've watched some of the backstretch interviews with Chad this week, Chad does not like, there's certain horses he doesn't want to talk about, but every time he's talked with Blazing Sevens, he just gushes. He talks about how well this horse has been training, how much he's taken a step forward since, kind of that sort of that hopeful where he just didn't run well. And he's kind of putting the pieces together and really figuring it out. They're training him with, and I can't remember the horse's name off the top of my head, but he's been working in the morning with, I think, a 4-year-old who's a stakes winner. So they are, and Chad said this is the kind of horse that he wants to be trained hard. He's been able to be really aggressive with him because that's how he likes to train. So I think Blazing Sevens of any of the other horses that are in this field is the one I think has that sort of jump up and steal it potential. But again, I'm going to say that with a caveat that I think Cave Rock needs to not bring his A game for that to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I mean, yeah, man, there's a lot of National Treasure love in the chat. You won't convince me. Like, you will not convince me that horse can win from that post with that run style. I mean, he got to find 6 lengths to beat the geared down Cave Rock. I just don't see it. The only way Cave Rock loses shy of pulling a Dennis's Moment out of the gate would be some catastrophic pace collapse, in which case National Treasure is not the horse that's going to take advantage of that. Blazing Sevens is kind of my pick as well for the closer of the field. So I'm with you, Mark, for kind of all the reasons you said. His last race was huge. I'm a little worried how he's going to respond to that. But yeah, I think he's the closer that I want. Much more than Forte anyway. I'm much higher on Blazing Sevens than I am Forte.
Yeah,
I agree.
I read Nick's comment, and I'll get to it in a second here. I am doing something. But I read Nick's comment on, I think, the video that Andrew and I did, and he I thought he made a compelling argument for using a horse like National Treasure. I think he posted it here again. That he said that took Blinks off last out for no reason. Vasquez gave Cave Rock the lead. Blinks back on. Johnny V back on. So I do make a little bit of it. The fact that Johnny V is getting back on, that tends to be Bob's go to. I know Juan's ridden Cave Rock all the time, so of course Juan's on there. But I don't know. I couldn't in good conscience just be like, no, like that horse has got no shot. But I think at least with the way I'm kind of playing this, I'm going to be singling Cave Rock. But if I get boomed by the other Baffert, I am not going to be surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, I was going to say, and not that we want to talk every horse to death here, but we have a little time. The other horse I am a little interested in, and Josh already has it up, is the 5 Verifying, which is, Joe Rosario for Brad Cox. Obviously, connections have been really good. And if you look at the pedigree on Verifying, there's a argument to be made that, maybe he just didn't really love the going and that last out with the sloppy going. He doesn't really have a super super Tommies or anything like that. Blazing Sevens of the 2 is the of the 5 and the 6 is the one that does make a little more sense handling the off going. And these Cox horses, especially 2-year-olds, have tendencies to take massive steps up. So I thought Verifying in here, again, is going to probably be a little bit more in front of Blazing Sevens, but obviously something's going to happen on the front end for this to come apart to some degree. But I thought Verifying was also a little bit interesting in here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Verifying is kind of the horse that gets lost a little bit because of how well Blazing Sevens ran in that race. But Verifying ran fine, and he was probably taking on a lot first time around first time route, first time off track, first time against winners in a grade 1. I mean, albeit a 2-year-old. So yeah, I mean, I think he's the horse that might get lost in the shuffle a little bit. So I'm with you there. The other horse I kind of thought was a little interesting and maybe more of an underneath player, but a couple guys in the Discord are fairly high on this horse. So I took a look and I can kind of see it actually, which is the number 8 Lost Ark. This is a horse that if you're a trip handicapper, you need to watch that Breeders' Futurity back because this horse just has a brutal trip. Gets steadied early out of the gate, gets pinched in between horses, checks back to essentially last by a dozen lengths. Finally starts to make his run going into the turn, and he gets sawed off and has to check again by another horse, gets floated out wide, and then at that point just kind of wraps up and just kind of finishes evenly and passes a few tired horses late. So I think he's way better than what that race would make you believe. Now, is he good enough to actually win this race and to turn the tables on a horse like Cave Rock? I don't know, but I would expect him to be much more forwardly placed, get a much more proactive ride, we'll call it. And from an outside draw, he should be able to hopefully avoid some of that traffic inside, although he did get pinched last time. So he's one that I think is more usable perhaps underneath, but he wouldn't be a total surprise on top either. If I was going to play something under Cave Rock, I'm definitely not going to look for a Forte or Blazing Sevens at, for a $5 exacta. So I think a horse like Lost Ark is one that I could use underneath.
The only place I'll look for Blazing Sevens is in Vegas. Anything else you guys want to talk about in this race? No?
I mean, do we want to talk about why we don't like Forte? I mean, personally, I don't like Forte because even though if you look at Thoroughgraphs anyway, I don't remember the time form. I mean, I have it up. I guess I can check. But, his figures are good. I mean, nobody's as fast as Cave Rock, but Forte is right there, probably the second fastest horse in this race. And for me personally, it's more of a visual thing. But watching that race last time out in the Breeders' Futurity, he looked like he was going to blow the doors off of Loggins, kind of ranging into the turn. And my God, did he hang so bad. So either Loggins is the best 2-year-old in the country right now in America, which I'm not ready to crown him that achievement yet, or Forte is just not nearly as good as that record would lead you to believe. He might have some distance issues. Violence is certainly more of a speed influence than stamina. And he did get the job done, but God, was he life and death to get past a horse that did all the dirty work in a race that kind of did go back to the closers. So for me, I don't like Forte, especially as a second choice, even though I do think he gets a favorable pace setup here.
So are you saying Forte got caught in the danger zone with Loggins?
Yes.
Is Caleb too young to get that reference?
Probably.
He might be too young to get that reference. No, that was very much my take on Forte as well. I think Forte probably doesn't want to go this far, at least at this point in his career. Maybe he's a little older horse. He'll develop and get a little more stamina, but that's what it looked like to me in that last one out. I think I would, if I'm going to try to beat Cave Rock, I'm looking for somebody else. If I'm trying to maybe smash a exacta or something, and maybe underneath, okay, cool.
So, Mark, I blew you up here. Maybe you can stand up real quick and show off what you're wearing. Show off what you're wearing.
I don't have it on at the moment. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were.
Wrong hoodie.
Damn, I thought that was the. I thought that was the on the wrong. I put you on.
Sorry.
Anyways, yeah. So, we were decided to do kind of a little bit of giveaway here. And I didn't put out the terms to be entered for this. We'll be surprised. Let's see if this works. Can you guys see my screen here? So
yeah.
I basically
Can you zoom in a little, Josh?
Huh?
Can you zoom in a little?
Here we go.
Yeah,
so basically, I went through chat and I looked at every single person who has commented, and if you've commented at all on our live stream today, I put your name in here. So we're gonna be giving away a hoodie. We're going to be giving away a hoodie to one lucky person. Let me just double check here, make sure I didn't miss anybody. I think I got everybody.
You got PDT in there?
I got PDT in here.
Okay, cool.
I got PDT, Ryan Howard, Brandon, Tommy. I got Nick Feldman, Mike, Christian, David Barista.
Look at the stragglers jumping in now.
Oh, we got people. Oh, there it is. Look at Road Warrior decides to show up all of a sudden. All right. Fine, man. Road Warrior. We got Joe Marcello here. Look at this.
And we got Mike in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, I got Mike at the top.
Cool.
He was the first one.
He was chatting a ton. So.
Oh, Road Warrior, you're gonna get entered. You've been here. You've been here more than everybody else for the most part. So yeah. But I'm gonna give this like 10 more seconds before I close this. Oh, there's Brad Taylor.
Another one.
There's another one. Brad Taylor. Mind you, there's a delay here. So that's why I'm giving you guys a little bit of time.
By the way, if you're getting entered in the damn contest, make sure you hit like and make sure you're subbed to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Us out a ton. We're trying to get to 1,000, and we're
so
so goddamn close. I want 1,000 by Reader's Cup so bad. So make sure you like and sub.
So I'll give it a couple more seconds here before we draw.
If we hit 1,000, we'll do on the wrong lead bingo with a drinking game next time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God!
But worry not. We're also gonna do 2 tomorrow. We're gonna do at least either another T-shirt or hoodie tomorrow. And then we're gonna do, oh, there's Sixer.
There's Sixer.
We're gonna do a group ticket where myself, Mark, and Caleb we're gonna put together a ticket, and we're gonna give away a share in this ticket. So we're gonna do split it 4 ways, and we'll see if we can make some money here. But same thing tomorrow. We'll be giving away a T-shirt and we'll be giving away a share of a group ticket. But all right, I've given it plenty of time. Lloyd says if he wins, draw again. I'm only picking one name here, so let's go ahead and pick random name. Sixer, you motherfucker. You show up absolutely last. This is some bullshit, Sixer. Hit me up on Discord, Sixer. I know you have my name here. So just shoot me your address and your size, and we will get a hoodie sent over your way. Yeah, not sus at all. Dude, this is fucking bullshit. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do another one tomorrow. We'll give away another T-shirt, hoodie, or something. And I'm actually gonna hold on. Okay, I did like a couple more in a row, and it was random. That's ridiculous. But yeah. So Sixer, just hit me up on Discord, and we'll get something sent out. Take a look at the shop and see if I think there's different hoodies on there, but if not, we'll just send you the generic black or blue one, whatever you want. But yeah, we got one more race to cover here, in probably the only stream that will finish on time ever. And there was. Andrew Champagne was very, very fired up about this yesterday. Why do they end with the juvenile turf and not the classic, or not classic? Sorry, the juvenile dirt. Anyone know?
I do not.
It's just weird.
My only guess is that juvenile dirt race has at times not had the biggest fields. There have been years, not in the past 3-4 years, but if you go back 5-10 years, where there was only like 5 horses in that race and it didn't get really full fields. I wonder if this is just because they know the Euros are all going to come over for this and they know they're going to get a big competitive race to end it with.
Oh, Sixer thinks. Oh yeah, now he's. Yeah, he fucking wins a hoodie, and now all of a sudden he's chatting.
Now he's
like
chatting away,
Yeah,
super social. Look at this.
Guy.
Look at this.
He's like, oh, I can't fucking hit and run this chat over here. Yeah. I don't know. I ended up taking the €2 in the spot. I didn't have anything like super creative other than I just don't really like any of the American horses in this race. I do think that my hot take was that American does win this race, but I was just looking for some kind of hot take for this yesterday. There is one American horse I do like, and it's not a Chad Brown horse. My hot take was very, very targeted in this spot. But the 1 and the 4 are my A's. I'm going to let Caleb talk much more intelligently because I was very much caveman. I see Euro, I pick Euro. But the one American horse I actually did like was the 6, and the winner is. And my kind of thinking on this horse was this horse has had 2 runs on the Keeneland surface, has got 2 wins, has won at this, not at this trip, but I think won at a mile and 16th, but is cutting back here. And I think that this is going to be an off-the-pace runner. I think this is going to have Joel Rosario aboard. He's not going to get mixed up in this early pace scenario. And the late pace figures seem to kind of fit very well with this horse. Now, mind you, I'm comparing this against other American horses, but to me, the 6 looks like the best American horse in the group. I'm going to use the 6 as a B. But Caleb, please tell me why I'm smart for using the 2 European horses.
I think you're smart. I don't think you probably. I think Silverknot wins this race the vast majority of the time. I don't know that you need both European horses in here. And I'm not anti-Victoria Road. I think he's a nice horse. I'm always a little bit skeptical of these Aidan O'Briens that take 5 starts to break their maiden. Typically, his better ones are a little more precocious than that. This one has gotten better with distance, and I kind of just think Victoria Road is a nice horse, but probably more of a down the line kind of a horse who's going to really get better with more distance. Already has a win at a mile and an 1/8. And I think this is a horse that really just wants to go further. And I tend to prefer these actual horses that want to be at a mile right now. Victoria Road's also a horse that has a tendency to get a little shuffled back. It doesn't have a ton or really any early speed. So it could kind of work to his disadvantage here. But to his credit, he did beat Blue Rosen 2 back, who went on to win a Group 1 and was the early favorite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies up until she decided not to ship over. But that is a nice piece of form there. But for me, I don't think this race fits Victoria Road as well as it does a horse like Silverknot. I think Silverknot just looks tons the best in here. You can throw out the race 2 back where he probably just didn't handle the soft going. He lost to Chaldean in that race. He's actually lost to Chaldean in both of his losses. Chaldean came back to win the a Group 1 in the Darley Dewhurst, so he's one of the top-rated 2-year-olds in Europe right now. So I really think Silverknot is just kind of built for this 1-mile trip, right? He's a very nimble, handy horse. He's already has a win at the mile at Newmarket last time out in the Autumn Stakes. The horses that ran 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to him last time out went on to run 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in a Group 1 next time to a horse named August Rodin or something to that effect. One of the 2nd-ranked 2-year-old in Europe right now. So what is it? I'm sorry.
Auguste Rodin.
Auguste Rodin, thanks. So yeah,
wait, you're going to trust Mark with pronunciation?
He was so confident. I was just convinced.
Where's Sweet Sassy John Massey? I know my sculptors. Come on now.
So yeah. Anyway, long story short, Silverknot is the horse here. You already know the connections. The record speaks for itself. The form lines are extremely strong. And I just don't really see any American horses that I think can really stack up. I do like your American horse a little bit, Josh. And there's one more American horse I have a kind of I might have on like a single ticket or play underneath because I think he'll be a huge price. But I'll let Mark go first.
Mark,
Yeah.
before you go, real quick, sorry. The one thing I will say about Victoria Road is I kind of went with the light bulb tactic there, where like it took a while, but after it broke its maiden, ended up rattling off 3 straight wins. I mean, it's one thing if like the horse took 5 tries to break its maiden and then got entered here. I think the fact that the horses rattle off 3 straight wins, I mean, maybe the horses kind of figured it out a little bit. At least that was my reason for including Victoria Road, because I kind of agree with you in these 2-year-old races. Sometimes it's tough. You have a horse that's got 6 starts and 1 win, and it's like really, is this the horse I want, or I want the horse that's only run twice and won both those times?
Yeah, that's a fair take. Though. I respect that angle.
Sorry, Mark, for like the 9th time I've cut you off tonight.
No, that's all right. I cut you off a couple times too. I will say with Victoria Road will be on none of my tickets. This is a horse that looked life and death in the last 3 starts to get it done, and those figures did not come back super. Did not come back super stout. So I have a feeling that this one probably takes a lot of money on connections alone, and I just don't think that Victoria Road is a major player here. With that being said, I'm amazed at Josh's ice cold single to Silver Knot. I'm sure Josh saw Lope de Vega and a 2-year-old and went all in. So Josh was just ready to dump the 401k on Silver Knot. But no, I like Silver Knot a lot here. But honestly, in this race, I think I need to take a stand somewhere in the sequence. This is probably where I get the most aggressive. I'm only going to have Silver Knot and the 8. I'm very busy. The Chad Brown horse. Flavien Prat had choice on a couple. Josh mentioned one of the other ones, and Prat lands here. You could say he's just, I don't know, favoritism for the Brown barn or whatever. But I think he's taking the better horse. So I will have 2 horses in here. The 4. And so in Silver Knot, and the 8, I'm very busy, and I think that's all I need in this race.
Yeah, I'm very busy. Was supposed to win that last race and hung like an absolute rat, so that bothers me a lot because I tried to get there, but I couldn't.
Didn't handle the going.
I mean, he handled it. He just got beat. So I mean, if he didn't show up at all, maybe I would say that. But when you're when you're neck and neck the top of the stretch, and then you just back up, and you're a Pennsylvania bred horse by not typically Chad Brown's, first lineup of ownership groups. I'm a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, but
I think the siren was well timed, Josh.
it's cloud computing, right? Isn't that Chad Brown's
wait a second.
big horse?
So could you say that I'm very busy? We had none of your tickets, and you're going to hard fade, Caleb? Because I mean, easily. I need a single somewhere.
Yeah.
Easy? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I can just single them in. Excellent.
Like you're going to leave off the 4.
No, I'm not going to leave off the 4. I'm not stupid.
Leave off the 4. Oh, Silver Knot. For some reason, I thought Silver Knot was a 3, but dude, I don't know what happened. I think it's because I looked at the PPs before they had the, Brisnet will release early PPs, and sometimes they'll have the morning line, but won't have like the saddle number. Yeah. And so I'm like looking at because I did when I did the podcast last night, I kept on saying the 12, and he's like, dude, it's the 10. But the horse was 12-1, or it was the other way around. I think it was a 12, but the horse was 10-1, and I kept calling him the 10. And I was just like, dude, like I've looked at all these PPs without the saddle number on there, and I'm just confused.
So Caleb, you mentioned an American Bomb in here, and is it a horse that happens to be in the parking lot?
It is.
Because I kind of like that horse a little too.
I don't think it's the same one you're talking about. I'm talking about the 12.
12 mustache, yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking more outside. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking the absolute parking lot. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I actually like the 12, and I would encourage anyone to go back and watch the Indian Summer if you haven't seen that race. I would be much higher on this horse with a different jockey and a different post. Kind of the one thing that's keeping me a little bit hesitant is this horse should have won that last race, but Bejarano had so much horse underneath of him that he literally couldn't control it. This horse was lugging in, lugging out. I mean, kept flipping back to a wrong lead. Like if he just points him straight, this horse probably wins by 3. I mean, but so green and inexperienced. The blinkers came off, showed a new dimension in coming from off the pace. And I think light bulb just absolutely went on. Horse is still super green, has to work out a trip from the post. And you have to stick with Bejarano for a trainer that is over 65 in graded stakes the past 3 years. You need a price here, but just visually, this horse was super impressive to me last time. If he can put it together and race a little more professionally, I mean, I think this horse could be sneaky at an enormous price. But even if you don't, watch the race and get him back next time because this horse has ability.
Yeah. My issue with Mustache is and I agree with everything that you said, Caleb. But man, there's got to be a lot of question marks with this one stretching out here, and man, it's a horrible draw. So I'm going to talk about a horse with. Oh, and also the other thing with Mustaches, I think I've heard about 6 guys who I all consider to be wise guys mention Mustache, and they've all mentioned the exact same thing. That, oh my God, he was so loaded in the stretch, and he looks so good, and this and that, and all of these other things. I just have a feeling this horse takes a ton of money, and you end up getting more like 10-1 on Mustache, where it's not as interesting at that kind of a price.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on him at 10-1.
Yeah, I would say the only other horse that I was a little bit interested in is the 14 Gaslight Dancer, who I realize is the absolute in the parking lot horse. But you're getting Juan Hernandez, getting up for Mike Maker.
Bingo.
I know. There it is. There's another. That's clearly a square. No, Gabriel Corrales, this horse broke its maiden at Kentucky Down, came back and shipped to Aqueduct for I have absolutely no idea why. And wait, Aqueduct? Do you have to drink to Aqueduct now?
I don't know.
Shipped to Aqueduct for absolutely I don't know why. Kind of a merry-go-round sort of a race. Ended up finishing in second. And as I think every right to step forward with a little bit of a stretch out. Juan's got to completely invent a trip, but I've seen much worse 30-1s on a horse that I don't know if the paired time form figures are a thing, but this horse has paired time forms and also paired Brisfigs, and our resident Canadian loves those things. So 14 Gaslight Dancer as an absolute bomb makes some sense, maybe to fill out a try or a super in a big race.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly was basically all in on this 1-4 and a little bit of the 6 in the spot. I didn't really give anybody else much of a chance. I know Andrew really liked this 5, Battle of Normandy, and his thinking was, hey, cross out that Pilgrim, and at least on Briz, this horse looks pretty competitive coming in with that win on or that second there at the With Anticipation, but. That was kind of his long shot pick here, but I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't see
the
a ton
upgrade there too.
Oh yeah, the jock upgrade was.
He really liked the jock upgrade, which I do agree. He does get a jock upgrade, but you have to hope that horse takes a pretty massive step forward off that August race at Saratoga. Maybe it happens. Obviously Tiros develop a lot towards the end of the year. Not the worst 20-1 I've ever seen.
So I guess we've kind of gone through this. We kind of handicapped this. What is everyone's kind of what's the wagering strategy going to be going into this? Mark, I mean, you're mostly a horizontal player. Do you, for these big days, do you kind of change? Do you do more single race bets, horizontal or vertical type bets, or what are you going to be doing here?
I will say that there is this late pick 5, which I'm interested in because I think the chance of a absolute monster payout is massive. I think you're going to get a couple of prices in the sequence. I'll be shocked if you don't. So I'm okay spending a little more than I would normally spend in a pick 5 sequence, but for the most part, Breeders' Cup races, I'm trying to sort of, I don't know if I say a hunch up in the bat or whatever. I'm trying to find doubles that I like into prices, find maybe a pick 3 that I can build around some prices I like, and try to, field size here is your friend. So use that field size to create your leverage and create your prices. And that's kind of my approach. I think I had better opinions of things I want to slam on Saturday. So, I'll play this late pick 5 with a structured ticket, couple of spots that I want to sort of attack. But I think for me, probably Friday is more of a tournament day than anything else.
Caleb, I just noticed something.
What's that?
Look at race 1, number 1.
I know. I sent you a screenshot like 3 days ago.
Look at race 5, number 1.
Oh, Josh is going to lose all his money.
Weren't those the two horses? Weren't those the two horses? I never
cost you anything with Rattle and Roll, but I cost you on Double Thunder.
It was wasn't Double Thunder in that same race with Rattle and Roll? I thought it was that Breeders' Futurity. I thought that was it.
Well, maybe it was. I don't know. I don't think so because I liked Rattle and Roll in that race. It was I thought it was the Bashford Manor.
Was it the Bashford Manor?
I could be wrong.
God bless it. I thought it was both. I can't believe Double Thunder. But Caleb, I know you've never seen Pick Five. You didn't like. So is that going to be your main strategy there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play the pick five. I think it's a good sequence, like Mark said. Like Mark said, for me, I mean, I'm gonna try to be maybe a little more balanced, on Friday because yeah, these 2-year-old races are hard, right? No matter how much time you put in, there's just not that much form to go off of, and sometimes goofy shit happens. So I want to try to make sure that and race in the early part of this pick five, like races, the turf sprint and the juvenile fillies. I'm against the chalk, so I'll probably play a pick three starting there, trying to catch some of my prices, and then close it out to meditate in that third leg, who I am pretty high on. I'll also have a pick five going, but I don't want to get through my 3 bomb legs or my 2 bomb legs and be correct and then miss because I can't decide what to do with Cave Rock loses to some fucking oh god, what's that horse's name? Storm something or other. The horse that won the year of the disaster. Anyway, I don't want to get through 3 legs, get my bombs in, and then lose to something that's just very hard to come up with. So yeah, I'm going with pick five. Is also trying some spot plays in the races where I like some bombs because I do genuinely have a strong argument for me anyway for a couple of bombs in those first 2 races of the late pick five.
I also am looking forward to making you start a show parlay that we're not going to get past 2 legs in.
Well, we're doing double thunder leg one no matter what. So.
Oh man. Oh, but yeah. So Caleb and I will be in Lexington tomorrow at some point. I know Caleb lands at 2. I will be driving down.
You're assuming your car won't explode on the way to Lexington.
Well, okay. So here's the thing, right? So I called my sister, and I'm like, look, I got to drive to Kentucky tomorrow. Apparently, my car may explode, or the differential may explode. Whatever, same difference. Like, can I just drive my car to your place and just take the Ford? So I'm going to take the Escape most likely, unless the car dealership can wrap up trade in and buying this car that I saw on CarMax in like 2 hours. Then I may show up in a brand new Ford Edge tomorrow, Caleb. We'll see. We'll see what car I show up in. They actually called me like right before this, and I was like, "Look, I gotta go. I gotta do something." And I like hung up on the lady. So, but I have an appointment for like 9:30 or 10 tomorrow. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna wake up early, pack, bring all my stuff down there. If they can take care of the situation when I'm there, great. If not, oh well. I'll drive over to my sister's place, which is right down the street. Grab my old car and make my way down to Lexington. So I should be down there sometime around 6 or 7 Eastern. But apparently John Massey's saying that I need to invest in the Pompano starting gate. I don't know what that means, but I'm in. But yeah,
he also said something about a penny breakage show parlay, so I'm not sure.
Oh man, we're gonna have like 24 cents left. That's like Vegas now. You go play the slot machines, and you go cash your Tito voucher out, and they give you the cash, and then they give you a receipt for the change because there's a coin shortage still. Those motherfuckers, there's no coin shortage. They're just keeping the money and they make you go to the cashier for it. So what my wife and I've been doing is we just like save them all up for like the last day, and then we just put them all in, and maybe we have like $2-3 or something and max bet them away. But
just leave the ticket for somebody else. Yeah, the change.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the most viewership we've had in a while, so we appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. We'll be covering all of Saturday. We'll probably go a hair later. I don't know how much later because I know Caleb needs his beauty sleep, and I think we're gonna have to get to the track at like 8 o'clock in the morning because I gotta go to Will Call and get my tickets anyways. But yeah. Sixer, make sure you go ahead and reach out to us and get me your address and size. We'll get that hoodie shipped over to you. If you guys haven't yet, check out Drinking Champagne episode 4. Check out AM Wager, where you can get a sign up bonus if you haven't. If you're looking for a new ADW for or hey, just collect all those bonuses, right? Go ahead, go for it. Naira Betts had a nice little bonus, nice little deposit bonus that I lost on a Corrales horse earlier today. Check us out at ontheronglead.com. We might Andrew reached out to me saying he might have some video content for us, so we might have some more stuff up. We'll see. I didn't want to hold him to anything, but he said he had some ideas. So we might have some more stuff up. But Drinking Champagne, check us out tomorrow. Rewatch this. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I will leave you with a tale of misery. What if I told you that the perfect man did exist, but he was cursed? I mean, he's just a complete handicapper. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Might be the best I've ever seen. He could be the best looking guy in all of horse racing. I mean, he gives Matt Bernier a run for his money. I mean, we all saw it. He was minding his own business, walking back from the bathroom. Hottest girl in the bar just grabs him and says, "Reel me in." Turns out you can't always be that lucky, though.
Zulu Alpha charges up the rail under Tyler Gaffleon and takes the lead late. Zulu Alpha wins the Pegasus World Cup Turf.